What is up, YouTube? Brody back again. My album Midnight Sun just dropped on Friday, and I'm still like in the aftermath of that, relaxing, kind of taking it easy, very excited slash feeling the love slash like overall just very happy to have my album Midnight Sun out on all platforms. I don't know. I'm very happy with where this turned out, and I feel like this is a very definitive album, like a very culmination of everything that I've done so far leading to this moment. And with that all being said, that's why I chose The Orphan to be the first song from the album that I break down on my channel here. I think that it does a very cool thing to me personally of combining a lot of my old influences, like very early childhood influences, with like more modern, like what I'm listening to now. And I don't know, I think that I'm embracing nostalgia on all fronts, whether it's like fun nostalgia that I kind of cringe at, or just nostalgia of, I don't know, I'm kind of rambling now, but I am really excited to talk about the production choices on The Orphan and why I chose them and how they add up to make the song what it is today. Very hyped, very excited. And I guess the first thing I'll dive into is the guitar tones and overall vibe. The guitar tones and the mix in general both are kind of messy, crazy, a lot of messy reverbs and delays and space echo, like madness, a lot of like, I don't know, I really wanted to invoke talking about blurring a lot of nostalgia together and kind of pulling from different time periods. I wanted to invoke like a blurriness, dreaminess to it, kind of like the way that in a dream you might combine a lot of different somewhat related or unrelated things together. Talking about the guitar tones, the beginning is a straight like doom metal thing that I'm trying to do. I love doom metal. I love a lot of the cool textures and the genre, and I really wanted to have a big drone moment. And I think related to the droniness of doom metal is the dreaminess of shoegaze, if that makes sense. I've been really interested in the cross section of those genres and how they really do a lot of similar things, but then have a very different end goal in mind. So I wanted to try to combine the two of those within this song. And then the third piece of that puzzle between doom and shoegaze is early 2000s metalcore. That's kind of what I grew up on. I got my start in music by like playing in a bunch of like metalcore, deathcore, post-hardcore bands when I was in high school and college. And I really wanted to kind of invoke that with the hook, especially, and some of the riffiness in the post-chorus. So for the main distortion tone, I decided not to use my Marshall, not to use like a traditional metal amplifier. I wanted to stick to, on two sides of it, one, the shoegaze tones, and two, I wanted to emulate kind of the idea of like being like 13 years old, going to your first metal band practice and playing through like a clean amp and a distortion pedal that you've dialed in badly. I feel like that's a shared experience of like getting together as a kid, having a band practice with the gear you had around. And that's kind of where I went to with these tones. So I'm running my Roland jazz chorus and my mix between my Rat and my HM2. And I really wanted to dial it as if I was like channeling myself, at least like going to like an old band practice with a hand-me-down clean amp and whatever distortion pedal I could find. I really wanted to kind of bring that feeling into this song. And I'll show some of these tones solo to show what I mean. So starting off, here's how I kind of went with the doomy section in the beginning. Very wide, very dark, very blurry. I recorded it with, like I said, my Roland jazz chorus, and it has 2 mics on it, so I'm stereo recording to get the left and right in one take. And you can kind of hear the pick attack a little bit too. It gets really intelligible and low because I'm using a pitch shifter octave down to drop on some of the notes, like this one. It's so deep, so weird. And then I did layer it with I used the DI and have a rock reverb on one side and a diesel VH4 on the other side. Amp sims. To kind of get a little more metally of a sound layered with it. But it's definitely tucked in the mix. And then same with the guitar on the hooks. It's similar tone and blend. A lot of resonant frequencies, really noisy. I love that. Very compressed, weird distortion. So again, we have our jazz chorus recorded wide with the HM2. Screaming. And then the rock reverb and VH4 and the other rhythms. Just getting a little bit of like the tightness, and like I found in the mix, especially the mid-range from that helped with some note clarity. Then we have, sorry, this is a really dense session. My computer is kind of getting pushed. See if I can keep going. Let's see here. Some other guitars going on through the song. In the verses, there's a clean-ish thing happening. Again, very dreamy. So if I'm remembering it correctly, it's been since April since I've worked on this. Wow. The recorded amp guitars are fully clean. I'm using my afterneath pedal in my chorus. I'll go to my screen here to show you guys. So here's the setup that we're working with. My 2 mics on my amp because it has the stereo chorus. Then I'm using the Earthquaker afterneath pedal here for some reverb / delay / just like overall ambience. And then this Boss HM2 is kind of the main guy for the distortion. It's very noisy, very like 90s, like shoegaze and black death metal distortion. Also, this PS6 harmonist pedal is what I'm using for a lot of my pitch shifting and weird, like either high pitched leads or when the heavy guitar gets really low and like unintelligible. That's what's going on there. Yeah, other half of that clean tone. The distorted tones. I feel like it made a nice extra sound going on there. A lead in the chorus we got going on. A big tremolo picked lead thing. I feel like that calls back to some shoegaze elements, but then also like metalcore, post-hardcore kind of guitar leads. I feel like every chorus had a tremolo picked lead like this. Love that sound. See, we've got another lead on the verses. Oh, I lied. It's a rhythm that comes in second half. Love that tone. I love the tones that I get through my HM2 and my jazz chorus. I feel like when I'm using my Marshall or like a more rock oriented amp, the guitar tones, for me at least, the way I mix them tend to be a little more like mid heavy and fitting within the mix. But these get so unruly and crazy. Like you can really get a ton of low end out of the HM2 through the jazz chorus and like really create this big monstrous wall of sound type thing. I just love. What else do we got here going on? I think that's mostly the guitars. Here's some extra stuff in the outro. No. Parts for the 808 big section. Very fun. Next we got the bass tone throughout. Also doing some pitch shift craziness. Love this bass tone. Very clipping and intense. So I'm using the clean DI. I always record parallel, clean DI, and then an amp tone. Clean DI is going through an Ampeg SVT. I have an 1176 going on, and then a little bit of decapitator for distortion. Pretty straightforward. Chorded on my P bass, I'm pretty sure. And then I did the stereo amp on the stereo jazz chorus HM2 thing on the bass as well for the dirt. So it's really wide and crazy sounding. Tons of overtones, a lot of weirdness going in there. I love that sound so much. Especially with how strange the guitars are. They really glue together in a nice way. It takes on some of the low mids that's lacking in the guitars. Oh yeah, so I'm using the P bass for my bass tracking. But the guitar, I wanted to mention, the guitar that I used on all of the electric guitar parts for this, I don't have anymore. I actually sold it kind of shortly after the song, but it did me very well while I had it. It was a LTD, like M series, like super strat with the pointed headstock. Very, like, it had like a purple flamed maple top, like very thick binding around it. Extremely like 2000s metal guitar, and it was like almost the same guitar that I had when I was back, like, again, 13 years old, going to band practice. So it felt very nice to like use a guitar like that to make this song. It felt very fitting. I wound up trading it for the Jackson V back here because I found a deal on Marketplace, but I love that guy while I had it. Next we have our drums. This one's pretty simple. This song, it was back in April, so this was kind of the beginning of my drum sampling journey. I wasn't really doing too much processing outside of EC Drummer at the time. I believe I'm running the pop punk kit. Yeah. Just an SJC kit, very typical metalcore kit, very big anthem-y sounds. Running it through radiator and distressor. Radiator is great for just like beefing up transients. We got on the distressor here. Nothing too crazy. Some parallel glue going on. A little bit very subtle EQ, it looks like. I'm kind of remembering a lot of this processing too. It's been a minute. And then some cymbal dampening, I'd imagine. Then we move to the more ambient side of it and vocals. We have, honestly, there's so much of the craziness is coming from the reverbs on the vocals and some on the guitars, basses, and whatnot. And I think that really makes up a lot of the weird textures in this song. Let's see here. But I do have a little bit of vocal chopping that I have going on. Love this sound it starts out with. It started off as me just like humming a melody. See how it sounds like. Let's embarrass myself. That sounds more like me. I did something, I made it shorter, squeezed it together, threw on Little Altar Boy. Compressed it, EQ'd it, and then half-timed it. To get this really haunting, reverse, like ghostly kind of sound. I feel like it's still kind of, you can tell it resembles a human voice in a way, which I really like. I have it come in the verses as well, not octave down, half-timed. And then I believe this is where those funny takes came from, was this. Just some like singing. This session was getting the best of me. I did a lot of mix revisions for this song and a lot of mastering in this session, so it's kind of screaming. That part sounds kind of funny by itself, but I think it really adds to the textures in the song. One of my favorite bands is Sigur Rós. Very amazing Icelandic post-rock band. And one thing I love that they do is use their vocals as an instrument even when they're not like saying anything, like tons of like crooning and sounds and like melodic moments just with the voice as an instrument. I find that really inspiring, and I do that a lot in my music. You hear it a lot in like the Orphan and in Scissors. Reach Your Heart is another one that has a lot of that. Yeah, this was my attempt of taking that kind of idea and putting it into like a very hauntingly heavy kind of song. Next, processing wise, we have the kind of electronic-ish section here. I say electronic and it feels electronic because of the weird vocals going on, but really the only new element added is this 808. I love this 808 though, one of my favorites. It's from my drum kit, which link in bio, by the way, but it's called the Back Road 808. I named it this because I used it in this Wicca Phase Springs Eternal song. I was on a back road by myself. And I feel like it's perfect, like industrial leaning 808 that can work in metal, it can work in drum and bass, it can work in rap. It does a lot of cool things. Is it raw? Threw some decapitator on it to soften it up a little bit. Some EQ, just to make it fit in context. Soft clipper to give some more beef to it after I cut it. Little EQ, balancing again. And yeah, I love that section. I think it's like, that is the one 808 that it made it on the entirety of Midnight Sun. I kept this album pretty natural, but I wanted to, for old time's sake, have a little bit of old Brody in there. And then, yeah, from there, we hit our vocal section, which honestly, very simple. I'll go through bus wise. I think that is making a lot of like the ambience in the song. I have lexicon reverb, which is like a big 80s 90s reverb that you see a lot in, like, I don't know, like I said, 80s music, shoegaze, things that I felt like were a nice reference and nod in this song. Got the space echo pretty prominently throughout this, causing a lot of cool textures. I'll show you how that sounds. And then lastly, we got a chorus, which I really like how this sounds in the context of the hook. I'll show you guys. Verses, really simple. I pretty much just have 2 layers and then a little bit of harmonies. It's heavenly, it's timeless, it's everything. Again, sorry for the processing, the system overloads. I am on the path to a new computer once it's a possibility. Yeah, we got a main. Essentially, we got a main and a double. They're both centered. The double is just a little bit softer and adding some more grit to it. We got a harmony. Same in the second verse, except there's no harmony. Then we have the choruses and this end section here, which has some really cool stuff going on. I have my main vocal and a softer double just for texture, a harder main layer. And on this double, I'm using Antari's harmony engine to get some really ghostly sounding harmonies going on. I'll play without. You can hear that chorus too. I can see who I'm following. I don't wanna see it's obvious. I don't wanna see. Very dissonant harmonies there. I just wanted this to be like as uncomfortable as possible. And I love how that section turned out. We go to our chorus here. Essentially, we have a main take here. We have a double. And then we have some harmonies and affected stuff going on. That one's like a very slow vibrato, very wide, kind of tucked in the back. I wanted to just have like a haunting texture. So I wanted some things you wouldn't expect to be together. So like main vocal, I'm kind of belting a little bit more, but then the backgrounds are all like kind of ghostly. And you hear the sound. So yeah, same weird effect, but a harmony. This one should be the soft double. And you hear the sound. And then the main, where I'm kind of projecting more. Can you hear the sound? Still with that vibrato. I love that vibrato. You don't really hear it that much in the final mix, but it's there pretty heavily on each track individually. And I think it really adds to some of the emotion of the take, even though it's kind of a subtle moment. But yeah, I feel like I wish I could have shown the vocals a little bit more in depth through this video, but I think that the vocals did a good job of reflecting the same ideas and thoughts of the instrumental. But yeah, I guess at that point, this is it. This is the Orphan. I am very excited about how this one turned out. If there's anything else from the album that you want a specific breakdown on, definitely let me know. It's all fresh in mind right now. I'm excited to kind of finally unveil what I've been doing. So please let me know. And with that being said, peace out.